Welcome back to another episode from Simulation Gaming Digital Realities and the tutorial series with OOTP23. If you have not checked out the first episode of my Ace of Iron tournament play, you might want to go and check that out first. It's about 5 months old now. This is an update to that Ace of Iron quick tournament team play. And just recently, I put together an update for my Ace of Bronze tournament play as well. Again, quick tournaments are easy ways for you to accumulate free packs, which you can open and try to improve your league play in OOTP23. As you can see, I've accumulated quite a few packs already, and hopefully by watching these tutorials, you too can earn free packs from these quick tournaments. So let's get started, and I'll show you my new updated Ace of Iron tournament team. And a reminder that I am a free-to-play player, which means that I do not spend any money on the game other than the initial investment in buying the game, and all these packs that I've earned have been from tournament play or from login bonuses, watching streamers on Twitch, many ways that you can earn free packs. Again, there is no one exact perfect team to build, which guarantees that you win packs. So I'm going to take you through 3 recent tournaments that I've participated in and show you how the players that I have chosen have performed in those 3 tournaments. So here is a tournament that the Gladiators, my team, have finished second in, which means that we earned 5 packs from this tournament. So I'll take you through. We'll take a look at our pitchers, first of all, and kind of go through one by one and show you how much they cost on the card shop and how they did in this tournament. Ron Vallone, a 58 rated iron player. Remember, you have to use iron players in this tournament. You can pick him off the card shop really cheap. Jesse Tannehill, you can get for about 46 perfect points. Performed well in this tournament, 2-0. Eddie Plank is a Platinum 1 card, which means they are not in packs anymore. You're going to have to pay up for this one, about 1,500 perfect points if you want to add Eddie Plank. My number 4 guy, Brent Strom, you can pick him up off the card shop for really cheap, 11 perfect points to get that card. And again, he was 2-2 in this tournament. And Bill Fisher, my number 5 guy, you can pick up for really inexpensively 25 perfect points, and he finished 1-2. In the bullpen, these are the cards that I'm currently using. I've got a couple stoppers that you see there. Jake Dykman finished with a pretty high ERA, but over the course of many tournaments, he'll perform well, about 45 perfect points to pick up that card. And Phil Koch, a Platinum 3 card, which again, you cannot get any packs anymore, so you're going to have to buy this one off the card shop for about 500 perfect points. Some cards you're going to get really cheap. Others, yeah, you're going to have to pay up if you want to try and perform well in these tournaments. Here is another reliever, about 1,000 perfect points at the time of the filming of this episode. However, you can get Roy Moore. He is about 30 perfect points, really cheap to get. And Joe Sullivan, a player that performed well in this tournament, went 2-0 with a 1.35 ERA for about 50 perfect points. Also have a couple specialists. I like to run specialists in the Iron Tournament. A right-handed specialist, very cheap, probably the cheapest card you're going to get, 16 perfect points. And you'll notice his splits. He pitches much better, theoretically anyway, against the right-handed batters. And my second specialist, as you can see here, is a lefty. And in the card shop, you can pick up Kelly for about 70 perfect points, which again, isn't really too bad. He performed well in this tournament with a 1.38 ERA, and I like to run the 2 specialists on my Iron team. You don't have to. You can run simply a lot of middle relievers, long relievers, stoppers, but I like to run a couple specialists, and those 2 cards really fit the bill. Heading over to the hitters, we've got our catchers, Bubba Hargrave. You can get him off the card shop. Again, really inexpensive. He hit 289 in this tournament. And my second catcher that I use is a popular one, 57 overall, Bill Selkeld. He's going to hit the home runs for you. He had 4 home runs in this tournament. You can get him for about 56 perfect points. Those are the 2 catchers I use in Ace of Iron. First base, I've got Billy Sullivan Jr. He can also catch if you need a reserve catcher. It's always good to have that extra utility. He's expensive though because again, he is a Platinum 1 card. Ian Happ, again, a very inexpensive card you can get on the card shop. Didn't do too well for me in this tournament, only hitting 150, but you can get him for about 70 perfect points on the shop. My other second baseman, again, one that is expensive, Frankie Frisch, a Platinum 2 series card. He hit 429 for me in this tournament, well worth the 1,000 perfect points you're going to have to pay to get him. Remember, 1 pack is 1,000 perfect points. So by spending 1,000 perfect points on a good card like this, you're going to get it paid off later on. Next guy, Todd Zeile, a third baseman. He hit over 270 in this tournament. Get him really cheap. Mike Benjamin, another card you're going to have to pay up for. Really, really good infielder, 1,000 plus perfect points, but he always does well for me. 264 in this tournament as a 41 rated player, and good defense too. Jody Reed, one of the most underappreciated cards in Iron. He hit 343 for me in this tournament. He can play many different positions, and you're going to pay under 100 perfect points to get this card. A must-have for your Ace of Iron. In the outfield, I do have Bob Fothgill. Platinum 1 card. He hit 271 in this tournament, and because he's Platinum 1, he's going to cost you about 500 perfect points. Next, we have a must-have in these tournaments, Dave Kingman. Look at that power. He hit 204, but he did have 7 home runs, 16 RBIs, and you're going to get him for under 30 perfect points. Go get Dave Kingman. Elmer Smith, Platinum 1 series card. Does really well for me, hit 311 in this tournament here with 15 RBIs. But again, you're going to have to pay over 1,000 perfect points if you want to add him to your lineup. Next up, we have Hank Lieber or Lieber and Platinum 2 card. You'll notice I use a lot of Platinum cards because they perform well. Over 1,000 perfect points for this card. Hit 282 with 23 RBIs in this tournament. Next up, Bobby Thompson, another Plat 2 card. Hit 278, 18 RBIs, 7 home runs. But again, for these Platinum Iron cards, usually they run about 1,000 perfect points each. And finally, Rusty Staub. Can play first base, can play right field. He hit 245. And again, he's probably the most expensive one as of right now, over 2,000 points. So you see my lineup there. You see how they did in this tournament. Some that hit over 400, some that hit over 300. Yeah, there were a couple that didn't have great performances. But even if we look at Ian Happ, he had 8 RBIs. And if we look at a guy like Dave Kingman, he pitched in with a few home runs. They're not going to perform awesome every single tournament. But on average, they'll give you what you need to get those free packs. We look at the winning team from this tournament, Arcadia Bay. They've got a lot of the same pitchers, Vallone, Plank, Tannehill, Yeomans, a few different ones as well, and that's what makes these tournaments great. There is no one winning formula. You can pick and choose, but generally the teams that place in the packs have a lot of the same players. Here's the winning team's hitting lineup. Hargraves, Reed, Smith, Kingman, Happ, a lot of the same players that I use with, again, a few differences along the way. And let's take a look at a couple of the cards that they use that I don't. At catcher, a card that I have used in the past, Carlos Ruiz, really inexpensive on the card shop, had an outstanding tournament hitting .358. They also use Platinum 2 Paul Molitor. Again, you're going to pay over 1,000 perfect points for him, but this manager seems to think that he works out really well. Center field, they have SFP Santangelo, inexpensive, 40 perfect points approximately. And they also have Pinky Whitney, a player that performs fairly well, about 100 perfect points. So don't feel that mine are the gold cards that are going to win you all these tournaments. You can, again, mix and match and still do really well. We look at the leaderboard, you see a lot of familiar names. Kingman, Fritsch, over on the pitching side, Sullivan, Vallone. So again, this tutorial is simply to give you a starting point, and if you have the perfect points, I suggest you go out and buy up a lot of those platinum cards that perform well in these tournaments. All right, let's transition over into a second game that we were involved in the Ace of Iron. And you'll see in this one that my team, the Gladiators, made it all the way to the final and won in Game 7. So sometimes, yeah, you go right to the full distance of these games. That's why you want to make sure you have some good bench guys that can fill in when your starting lineup is tired. So you'll see the pitching staff here, how they all did. Again, I don't pay a lot of attention to the ERA too much. In Ace of Iron, you tend to get your pitchers rocked a lot of times. And you got to make sure you have those hitters with a good eye, good power. You'll notice here again, we had players that hit 300, like Ian Happ this time, who didn't do well last tournament. And we had other players hit 333, Bob Fothgill, Dave Kingman, Hank Lieber, and 368 for Rusty Staub. So again, sometimes players do well in one tournament and not so much in the next tournament. Look at all the RBIs and look at the home runs. 12 by Dave Kingman and 26 RBIs by Kingman too. All right, so that is how we did in this tournament here. Again, if we look at the second place finisher, let's take a look at that team just to see how it compares with the Gladiators. Pitching staff, they have Plank, they have Moore, they have Tannehill, Dykman, Phil Koch. So again, they've got about 50% of the same pitchers that my team had. And when we take a look at the hitters, let's just compare the two teams that way. They've got Reed, Smith, Salkeld, Leiber, Staub, Kingman, Naquin, Zeal, and Benjamin. So they're versus the right-handers, exact same starters that we have, just in a little bit different order. So again, you get these good teams that tend to kind of copy each other with between 70 and 90% of the same players. So that Tyler Naquin, yeah, really good card, especially against the righties. And to do well, you got to make sure you platoon your players. Don't get too attached to a player and think you have to play him against both types of pitchers. For example, Dave Kingman, I have hitting against lefties, but not against righties. And that's because his home run power and his ability is much better against the lefties than the righties. All right, let's take a look at a third tournament that we were involved in. Again, all of these tournaments within the last week to show you a little bit of consistency. And in this tournament here, the Rocky Mountain Gladiators again finished, and you can't quite see it because it's under the little heading there. There it is. We finished first again in this tournament, so that earned us 10 packs. You'll see we made it fairly easily to the finals and then won in 6 games. Here's our pitching staff. Again, ignore the ERA. All you care about is wins and results. And our bullpen, which did extremely well with the ERA. Hitting wise, here again are our same players. Both our catchers hit over 300. We had Bill Salkeld, again, that 57 rated catcher who is really good, usually for some home run pop. Had 6 in this tournament. Billy Sullivan Jr. hit 388. And all the way down, Hank Lieber again hitting 347. Elmer Smith 318. Rusty Staub over 352. RBI-wise, we had at least 7 players in double digits. Dave Kingman, again, only hitting against the lefties, and he was able to put up these huge numbers just starting against the lefties. Again, guys, you can mix and match different players, but you see a lot of the same common names on the leaderboard. Your Kingmans, your Zeals, your Reeds, your Phil Kokes, your Dykmans, Yeomans, a lot of the same pitchers and hitters that a lot of teams use. So again, it gives you a good basis to work off when you're building a new Iron team. We look at the second place team, just again to compare it. They've got Fisher. They've got, who else do they got? Phil Koch. They've got Strom. They got Tannehill, Roy Moore. So again, about half of the same rotation. You can probably get away with, different pitching staff. It's the hitters that you want to focus on and get a lot of these meta players. They have Salkeld, they have Jody Reed, Todd Zeal, Dave Kingman, Ian Happ, Rusty Staub. And again, they've got some different players, like this Platinum 4 Duke Sims. I really like this card. I considered adding it to my lineup. And who else do they have? Jim Presley. Again, another Iron card that did well in this tournament, hitting 294. And anyone else that kind of stands out here? Gary Matthews Jr., a common card. He had 2 MVPs in this tournament, and he hit 300. Finally, let's just take a look at one of the tournaments that is currently underway with the Rocky Mountain Gladiators. You'll notice that we were able to win round 1. We're on to round 2, and currently we are tied 1 game apiece in the second round. Looking at the players, again, the stats aren't going to be fully done yet because we've only played our second round games. But you'll notice, again, a lot of players hitting over 300. Elmer Smith, Dave Kingman, the usual suspects. You are going to have to pay up a little bit in terms of perfect points for some of these cards, but they will pay off in the end. All they have to do is earn you a few packs to pay for what you invested into those cards. To finish off, one other little hint and tip that I wanted to show you if you're just starting now to get involved in these tournaments where you can earn 10 packs, 5 packs, 3 packs, depending how you place, you want to make sure that you properly select the right tournament. So you go to your tournament tab, you click on Iron Tournaments, and there'll be 2 to choose from. The Ace of Iron Quick is 32 teams with 4 placings. Or if you want a shorter tournament, you can enter the Q Iron Tournaments, 16 teams, 2 placings. And you can use the exact same team in each of those tournaments. Once you go to the set rosters, the game should automatically put in your last used lineup. So you don't have to go into each tournament and constantly reload all your lineups. That should be done automatically. As you see here, my 26 players are already there. They're in the same batting order. They're in the same pitching rotation. And one thing you better do is export it. Go into your tournament, create a name, export it, save it, That way, if you ever go into a tournament and your players aren't there, you just have to import it from your save file. That way, you have a backup in case there's some sort of glitch. That's going to do it for this Ace of Iron tournament tutorial. I hope it helps. Leave a comment if you're able to win some packs using some of these strategies. I'd love to know. And please check out my other videos and other tutorials that I have up on the channel. And join me on Twitch. I stream 3 times a week where I do giveaways and you can earn free packs just by watching us streamers. It's a great day for baseball. We'll see you next episode.